Hey everybody, today we're going to be talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and why I personally think, and a lot of others think, that it deserves Game of the Year. Now, a lot of people would be like, no, that's Legend of Zelda. But Legend of Zelda didn't bring anything new to the table and was basically just an update of the very first Legend of Zelda that got Game of the Year, which I personally don't even think it deserved. But Baldur's Gate 3 somehow made, in my opinion, turn-based combat more fun and addicting than straight up Dark Souls level combat. I have more fun playing Baldur's Gate 3 and missing most of my shots than doing like roll tricks and like parries in Dark Souls or any Dark Souls like games. Now here's a little backstory. Before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, there's this little game called Divinity Original Sin 2. And in Divinity Original Sin 2, it was basically my very first intro to CRPGs and turn-based combat. I absolutely fell in love with that game. I thought it was phenomenal. And then I see this trailer for a game called Baldur's Gate 3. You know, the trailer that came out back in like 2019 that showcased the dragon that came through. I loved that trailer. And when they announced early access, I bought it straight first day it was announced. I bought that game because I thought I saw the his friend Sven, the lead producer on the game, play it, and he was playing Astarion, and the just how like inanimate objects like a boot can end the combat and save you. Like I loved how much you can do, like just to beat a little battle. Like you can throw a shoe, you could throw a grape at someone probably and hurt them enough. That's what I loved about it. Not just that, but the atmosphere, the graphics, the gameplay. You know, it was, and even this was early access, which was when it was peak jank, but didn't change the fact that I fell in love with it. So after I bought it, and it eventually came out and downloaded, it was time to delve into Baldur's Gate. I remember how hard it was when I first started playing. I think I played as a rogue, a drow rogue. I'll never forget. Played as a drow rogue, and my character was kind of a bitchy. She was mean as hell. Not surprising because she was a low-sworn drow. But I remember the combat was hard for me because obviously it was my first time. But I eventually just grew to just obviously learn it and fall in love with it. I really enjoyed that every combat could be different. There was like when other games, like let's you say, sorry for me saying like 400 times. It's just like my bridge. like my bad. Anyway, there was a battle that I was in. It was a bunch of goblins, and I got demolished. I got my ass handed to me so bad, and then I did it a few more times, and I eventually just ended up kicking ass and winning. And it really just depended on. At first, I was really mad at the game because of the rolls and how, when it first released, the rolls were tremendously bad. All the rolls I found were just so in your face, like it was so against you that anything you did, it was just like the biggest middle finger to you, and I hated it. But they eventually patched it so it wasn't so unfair. But like I was just saying, when you get into a battle, it go any way. It doesn't matter. Like even like one goblin, if they're lucky enough, or if they're smart, because the AI in this game is really smart. They will, if a group of enemies is a danger, no matter how level they are, unless you're like really good, like I am now. But back then, no, I'm not. Just they were really cunning, and they'll throw the grease spell down like when you least expect it and blow you up, or they'll just do something that you just don't predict. In my opinion, I didn't predict it, and they absolutely. It was like this underdog genius level, and these were from goblins. Like goblins are retarded. You know, they're stupid people. You know, they always talk like this, and they're fucking bloodthirsty, and they're not really smart. But in combat, damn, they're like Einstein. They become a real big danger. And I remember that when you would go into the goblin camp, I thought it was. I actually had to cheese it. So for the first area, spoiler alert, which is not really a spoiler because it's just the first goblin part where you get into the courtyard. There's a ladder, and I broke it after I got up there, and I would just basically hide and shoot like a coward. Now, thankfully, I'm able to I use poison on their like alcohol like jug container after getting really annoyed that the guy just kept staring at me, and no matter what I did, I used my bard character to go distract him. This asshole would just mad dog me the whole time. I almost was like, fuck it, and just wanted to like blow him up. But patience, and one reload later, I was able to poison it. And when you poison it, you have a choice that they want you to drink it. Like I said, these guys are stupid, but they're smart sometimes. It's like really weird. So you had to drink it. And if you didn't drink it, they would be suspicious and attack you, because of course they would. So if you pass the speech check, you can do something to like feign it and make sure it just kind of like trick them. But then when they drink it, bang, 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 they are all dead on the ground. Not all of them, some survive, but again, you have another chance to save your ass from getting attacked from the rest if you want to, so you can prepare for the fight. And that way was just telling them, one was intimidating. I was a gnome, and I looked like the Joker. I was kind of my build I was going for, like a psychotic gnome, and it was the Dark Urge background. And when I was doing that, I intimidated him, and I thought it was funny because this little gnome was like, I'll slit you in the throat, you bastard, if you get in my way. I don't know why he's Scottish, but I remember doing that, and he was like, oh, please, do not hurt me, do not hurt me. And I was like, oh, well, that worked. Anyways, I was fully prepared to fight them, but I didn't get around to it at that moment. But yes, just the options, though, that you have to just complete a mission is insane. Now I'm going to talk about choice. And as an RPG, a modern RPG, people are always going to be skeptical about the idea of choice. A lot of games say, this will be you will have the most player freedom ever and be able to change the story. And a lot of those games, they fail and they're kind of trash. And in my opinion, Starfield is shit when it comes to choices, but I'm not here to talk about Starfield. But games like that lie. Baldur's Gate 3, they just, what I like first is that they didn't promise anything. They made the game and it was good. I like that. I don't like when developers make promises they can't keep. But the choices you can make in this game are crazy. This is like my 5th playthrough I've been on, and I've still been finding stuff like on YouTube and like YouTube Shorts that I haven't found out yet. And I'm like, wow. How did I miss this? I didn't even know you can do this. You can get through certain areas and just completely miss an entire huge plot point that you could have done because you didn't talk to a specific character, or you forgot to pick up a note and read it, and it led you to this like swamp, and you had to kill these woodland creatures and these weird like alien mud creatures, and then they're inside of the tree. If you miss it, there is a note. You read that note, and it's about one of the druids worshiping the shadow druid belief, and you got to go back and you convince them. You can either convince them or fail and have to kill the leader of the grove named Kaga, or you can convince her to turn on her evil masters. And if you do that, when you save Halsin, the actual druid leader, because she's just like the acting leader, my bad, I just sound like I said Jewish leader. The druid leader comes back and just scolds her. And depending on if you did that quest or not, the outcome's different. Like, if you do it and she isn't a shadow druid anymore, she'll just get scolded hard, but she'll take it like a champ. She's like, yes, I'm sorry, it was my bad, and the whole outcome changes. If you never did it and then saved Halsin, she will fight back, not aggressively, but she will be pissed, and she will be like, you're worthless, I can't stand you. And if you kill her, I don't even know what happens if you kill her. I've never even done that, but I can guarantee you that it's something completely different. This was all in just Act 1 in one area. There is hundreds upon hundreds of different options you can take in different areas of the game, and they all matter, and they will carry on into the next area. You can save the tieflings in the cove, and then in the next area you'll see them again, and something bad may happen or not. And if you don't defend in the second area, if you don't defend a certain character, the whole like town that was protected from this like fog will lose its protection, and everybody will die just because you weren't able to save her in time. Like, I love that. That was a huge choice you could have made, and you don't even really know it. You just got to be good enough. You got to use your intuition. This game really feels like a digital Dungeons and Dragons experience, which is great because I don't got friends. I only got one. That's not enough for a Dungeons and Dragons crew. So thankfully, I got these lovely companions with me. And now, the companions themselves. Oh my god. Before the game launched, actually after the game launched, when it very first early access, your companions fucking hate you. There's nothing you can do, and they always are very aggressive, like Asterion will be like, get away from me, peasant. Lae'zel will be like, Scrah, I think you're pathetic and weak. Shadowheart be like, this is none of your business. Do not talk to me. I think Gale's the only one that was nice to you, and Will, those are the only ones that would actually talk to you, that don't want to hate, that don't hate you yet. So they eventually patched it was I don't know what they called it, but I think it was like the bitchy patch. It wasn't, I don't think it was really called that, but I remember it that way because they explicitly mentioned that, hey, the companions are assholes. So we're gonna fix that. So it's not an unpleasant experience. And they did. And when the game released, the characters are so well fleshed out. In the first act, everybody's suspicious of each other. They don't know what's going on. They have no idea. And then, you start to form a bond, depending on your actions, of course. They matter. The characters matter. People will leave if you choose to ally with a certain group. They will try to attack you. So one will try to kill you in your sleep because they think they're turning into a geik, which is basically a mind flayer. And one of my favorite parts is when you're at your camp, because you go to sleep and maybe a vampire is going to bite you. Maybe the vampire is Asterion, not a big surprise, but he literally looks like a vampire. Like, it was pretty obvious. I don't know why they were like, a vampire, I didn't expect that. Come on, bro. Really? The white skin? And I mean, just because he's white doesn't mean he's a vampire, but he has white skin, like paper. He looks like Sheamus from WWE. He has very white skin. Now, that's just one outcome, and he'll do that. Or if you're playing a paladin and you kill an innocent, you break your vow, this godlike almost entity comes by, and he's the Oathbreaker, and he'll lead you down a darker path where you don't have to be good. Or, you'll, if you're playing the Dark Urge, a certain character may visit you, and you're like, yeah, sure, stay the night. And then you wake up, and their body has been eviscerated and destroyed. It's just a really crazy experience. And your companion's reactions are great. And you have to try to defend yourself and lie or hide the body, depending on if you hit the rolls in time. But I just talked them out of it, and they were like, sure, okay. But the romances are also very good. People say they're too horny, and yeah, I agree. But I like that. I mean, it's like fan service, I appreciate it. And anyway, I lost my train of thought. But yes, the companions do matter, and they're very important. I would say the Shadowheart romance was one of my favorites, and it's very akin to Morrigan from Dragon Age Origins, which I loved. Morrigan. She felt like the most realistic character in any video game I've played. I loved it. And I even played through Inquisition, which I personally hate because it sucks. I'm not even gonna apologize for that. Inquisition's ass. But I do, I loved, I actually played through it just so I can see what happened with my Warden character. And Morgan, and they obviously give you some interesting information if you delve through it. But I loved in that romance, and it's if you've ever done that romance, Shadowhearts is very similar. She's very distant, and you really gotta work for her. It's not, she's, at least in my playthrough, you gotta really work for her. That's about it for her. Well, there's a lot more to her, obviously, but I'm talking about the romance, that part. Like the boys, like Gale and Asterion. I haven't done Gale's, Asterions, Lae'zel's, Will's. I haven't done them yet because I've only done 3 playthroughs. Well, no, I've done a lot early access playthroughs, but when the game launched, I've only done one one playthrough, and I'm doing another one with my friend right now. But yeah, that I there's so much for me to unveil from them and learn, and there's just so much to these characters. They really feel like real life characters. It's about time I get to the plot. So basically, you get infected with a mind flayer and you gotta cure it. It's not that simple. In the first act, spoiler alert, just skip ahead like 15 seconds. In the beginning, in the first act, you there's no way of curing it. It's just not gonna happen yet. So you really just exhaust all your avenues, but it's really cool to go and see all these people's offerings, and you give and they take. So you have a lot of options to try it, but they don't really work. Now you obviously are going to need to fix them, but you notice that we're not turning into mind flayers yet, and we don't know why. And we also have these really good powers, overpowered powers that are just extraordinarily useful. Now, about those powers are great, and you have to consume new mind flayer tadpoles to get more powers and more powers. But the enemies are also very great. Catherick Thorm, the I really forget the crab lady. She looks like she's wearing crab armor. I think her name is, I forget a miss. No, but I'll figure it out in later. But I'll leave it in the video. But her, and then another guy, I forgot his name. He's like a pompous kind of character. Oren's the girl, the psychopath girl, the one that's like a Bale spawn. They're all very interesting characters and are very, very dedicated to their cause. Also, they're insane. Like, they're all crazy and are scary. They hold a lot of power. So you really need to prepare before you face them, or you're going to get wiped. And that's just how it's going to be. And your save's over. There's a lot of interesting ways to end the game too early if you just fuck up. You can pretty much just ruin your entire playthrough because you chose a certain path, which I love about this game. Obviously, you can just reload it, but if you're doing like a permadeath one, then yeah, I wouldn't do those. Pay attention. And this is my conclusion and my assessment. We've been getting Game of the Years for, I don't know, 20 years now. I don't remember exactly how many Game of the Years we've had, or 21 years. But I do know a lot of games that get Game of the Year don't really deserve it. Like Overwatch in 2016, and I think 2020 got, over like Ghost of Tsushima got, it was Last of Us Part 2, which is a joke. Now, I don't really have trust in the Game Awards. I do like the Golden Joysticks, which Baldur's Gate did win Game of the Year, but in my opinion, it just needs to win the actual Game Awards GOTY. It deserves it. It's the studio that worked so hard on it, and they're so humble, and they made such an amazing product for such a smaller studio. It's a heroic show of that you can make really great games. They showed you that these mega developers are just crybabies that think that it's so hard. Well, I mean, it is hard, but that it's just like this impossible feat. No, it's not. And they did it. They worked their asses off, but they came up with an amazing product that I love and a lot of other people love too. So in my opinion, it's Game of the Year. Even if it doesn't get voted in, it's Game of the Year. Now, they're probably going to try giving it to Legend of Zelda, which I don't think it deserves. Yes, it has more, it has higher reviews, but it also is only on one console. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be on everything except Switch, I think, and obviously the old consoles, but it's going to be pretty much on everything. So this is why I'm like, it deserves Game of the Year. And plus all the aforementioned stuff I talked about, obviously. That's the whole reason. But yes, I believe it deserves Game of the Year. There's a lot more I can talk about, but I really wanted to keep this short and not too long. But that's my review of Baldur's Gate 3. It's kind of short, but it's sweet, and I like it. I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed, because This is my very first video, and obviously I'm gonna try to do better in the future. But this is kind of the content I'm gonna make: quick reviews, just discussions about video games in the future, and I hope you all watch. I don't know how to end this, so I'll just say, get out of my video, leave. No, I'm just kidding. Have a great day.